What's good? What's going on? Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome to another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast, coming to you via the YouTube airways. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K Sap. And today, man, we got one hell of a show lined up for you guys today. But when you come across this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you got your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And if this is your first time coming across the platform and you're new to this channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, post your comments, share the video out. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. And you know what my mantra is. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. Well, man, let's get right off into it. Well, you guys know that Skip Bayless, undisputed analyst, is a lifelong Cowboy fan. There he says. He has a lot of things that he says about the Dallas Cowboys on his show, Undisputed. He goes as far as saying that, I believe in the Dallas Cowboys. I believe in them. And then one sense, he'll say he don't believe in them. As a fan, you have a right to say those things about your particular team that you're rooting for. But you're an analyst. Your job is to critique the team and not take shots at certain individuals on that team. It's been in the past where he has taken shot at several players. In one sense, when Ezekiel Elliott was playing with the Cowboys, he used to give him grief instead of just critiquing him, would take like personal shots at him. So what has Skip Bayless done now? There is an all-pro defensive end linebacker in Micah Parsons that plays for the Dallas Cowboys. And he calls him 11 from heaven. He gives Micah Parsons a lot of props, and then he will break Micah Parsons down, and he will go in on Micah Parsons, talking about Micah Parsons is not that dude. So this past season of the Cowboys, Micah Parsons started off hot. He started off on a vengeance. And Skip Bayless was screaming, oh, that's the defensive player of the year. We only going to go as far as 11 from heaven takes us. And then as soon as the Cowboys lose and Micah Parsons don't have a great game, Skip Bayless will go on the attack of Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons has a podcast now. So after every game, Micah Parsons will go to his podcast and would talk football. And Skip Bayless did not like some of the things that Micah Parsons would say on his podcast. If the Cowboys lose and the media gives the Cowboys a grief, Skip Bayless would go in on Micah Parsons when Micah Parsons would give his take about everybody's just hating on the Cowboys. Y'all don't treat us fairly. As soon as we lose, we get critiqued heavy. So it's times that Micah Parsons has voiced his displeasure on his podcast. And one time, Micah Parsons was on his podcast, and he had some things to say about certain analysts and certain players. Take a listen to what Micah Parsons had to say.
Just waits for the Cowboys to lose. I saw multiple analysts, people who are fake analysts who somehow got jobs on TV saying, there goes your boy. Like, oh, there he is. That's the person we've been waiting for. It's almost to the point where it's like almost sick. Former players are waiting for other current players to fail so that way they have something to talk about. It's not even to just get into names. I feel like at this point you kind of know who you are. And it's like, why do you want a person to lose so bad? It seems that a lot of people are just waiting for people to fail.
Now, you heard what Micah Parsons had to say, and that comes on, days that the Cowboys have bad games, and, Micah Parsons feels that he has to go to his podcast and defend himself and the Dallas Cowboys because, mainstream media, especially Skip Bayless, he's a hard critic of the Cowboys because he's a fan. But like I stated earlier, as a fan, some of your takes are personal, and you should keep your personal takes out of it because you're a fan. You're on television. You're undisputed Fox analysis to talk about the game and certain players. You can do that, but you don't have to take personal shots at them. So Micah Parsons, through the course of the season, he felt the attacks. So he felt that he had to go to his podcast and unleash on a few things. And that's what Micah Parsons did. So I say this to say all this is because this past weekend, the Dallas Cowboys played the Green Bay Packers in the wild card game at AT&T Stadium. And what happened? The Dallas Cowboys did not show up to play, and they got beat by the Green Bay Packers 48-32. That game was out of hand early in the game when it was 27-0. And, Skip Bayless was going to his Twitter, and it was crazy. So what happened after that game? Well, we know Micah Parsons is an all-pro, but in that particular game, Micah Parsons did not have a great game. But during the regular season, Micah Parsons had 64 tackles. He had 36 solo tackles, and he had 28 assists. He had 14 sacks. Also, he had one forced fumble. Also, he had a fumble recovery, and he had 2 pass breakups. That was his stats for the regular season. But when he got in the postseason against the Green Bay Packers last week, Micah Parsons was visibly missing. He only had 2 tackles, and one was a solo tackle and one was assist. And then after that, it was goose eggs. He started out the game because in previous games, he was talking about he was being held. He was complaining to the officials. So early in that game against the Green Bay Packers, it benefited because he got 2 holding calls against him. But what happened was Micah Parsons was a no-show. So Skip Bayless, he made it abundantly clear that, Micah Parsons was not that dude. He was not that dude. And he went on to even say that Micah Parsons is a better podcaster than he is a football player. Now that's egregious. Now that's speaking from a fan's point of view. And what happened was Skip Bayless went to his Twitter, and this is what Skip Bayless had to say. Can't wait for Micah Parsons' podcast tomorrow. That's what he does best. So in turn, Micah Parsons saw that tweet, and Micah Parsons responded back, unleashed the ether on Skip Bayless, and this is how Micah Parsons responded. You just a hating MF who mad I ain't want to do your show. Where was all this when you were on my wanting me to come on your show every Tuesday? You lame as Skip, real fake Cowboy fans. Now you guys remember that Skip Bayless reached out to Micah Parsons and wanted him to do his show every Tuesday on Undisputed. So I guess Micah Parsons declined that offer, and Skip Bayless got in his feelings, got upset, and now he wants to take personal shots at Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons, he's not standing for it. He's standing on business. He called Skip Bayless out. He let it be known that you are a fake Cowboy fan. I mean, you can say that you're a Cowboy fan, but as much as you take personal shots at certain players, Micah Parsons wasn't going for it. But in a sense, Skip Bayless said some things on his podcast. Let's take a listen to what Skip Bayless had to say.
In Micah, 11 from heaven? Forgive me. He turned into 11 from hell. I'm sorry, but Micah said back in training camp, this year's training camp, this defense could be better than Ray Lewis's defense, 2000 Ravens. One of the best ever. Maybe I still go with the 85 Bears slightly over that defense. Also Derek Brooks' defense. Keyshawn played for that team in 2002 in Tampa. But he said, Micah, we could be better than Ray Lewis's defense. Really? Okay. Micah said back in training camp, yeah, it would be great to be a Hall of Famer, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in going down as the greatest defensive player ever, said Micah Parsons, who was then a favorite, preseason favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. And guess what? Down the stretch, as usual, I had to file lots and lots of missing Parsons reports, missing down the stretch. Micah Parsons, unfortunately, proved to be a better podcaster than a playmaker.
Now, you heard what Skip Bayless had to say, and that's crazy. In some sense, you know, Skip is almost right about the sense that Micah Parsons was missing in action. That's the only thing that he was right about. But to take personal shots at him, to say that you're a better podcaster than a football player, and that's what you hone your skills and your craft on, as being a football player, to take care of your family, and you're taking personal shots at that. And that's a fan speaking. That's not an analyst speaking. So Skip Bayless can't keep his emotions and feelings in check when it comes to certain players on the Cowboys. But I like the way Micah Parsons responded. You know, he was just calling BS for BS. And to me, Micah Parsons, he's firing them shots at Skip Bayless, man. So guys, let me know what y'all think down in the comments section. Make sure you share the video out. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And this is going to wrap up an episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
Another one.